Hey, what is going on, everybody? This is Justin Schollard. Welcome to day 6 of your strength course. Congratulations on making this far. I know that if you take the advice that I've given you over the last 5 days and apply it, including what you're going to learn today, you will see results guaranteed. Okay, so today we're going to talk about why you might want to consider taking supplements. We're obviously then going to go into my 5 top picks. I want to do this episode because there's a lot of confusion around supplementation, and rightfully so. It's very unregulated. I think I heard somewhere that it's within 20% accuracy. So if a supplement company claims they have X percentage of a vitamin or a mineral or an amino acid, give or take 20%, which is kind of scary. So we really kind of weed through the noise here and make sure that we're making a smart choice. So I'm going to give you what I take on a daily basis and the reasons why. Okay, so here we go. Who are supplements for? People whose nutrient levels from whole foods vary from day to day. Well, if you're like me, sometimes you can't always get a big, huge, massive bowl of leafy greens and peppers and mushrooms and sprouts, right? And sometimes it varies. So if you are like that, then you might want to consider taking supplements because you can at least guarantee that you're getting your vitamins and minerals on a daily basis. Obviously, the best thing would be to get it from whole foods, but if you can't do that, then that's what supplements are for. So I definitely recommend considering getting on that if in fact you do not have a perfect diet, which, let's be honest, most of us don't, right? Before we go on, though, I definitely want to get one thing straight here and share some advice that no supplement in the world will ever amount to the health benefits that a sound diet, good quality sleep, good hydration, and a smart exercise program will provide. So you take care of all those, and you are 90% of the way there. So even the best supplements will never amount to the importance of just sound diet, hydration, physical activity, and sleep. However, if you are someone working towards achieving a physically demanding goal, like let's say you want to put on 20 pounds of muscle, you might want to consider supplementing because you're not normal anymore, right? Like you are actively trying to change your body. You're forcing it to adapt, and so you can't eat the same way or take the amount of supplements that your colleague does who just sits on his butt all day long, right? If you are pursuing some sort of physical greatness, you have to treat your body accordingly, and supplementing can be a great way for that to happen. And then also just if you have a high stress work environment. So that's another one that is often overlooked. People don't realize how damaging stress can be. So if you are stressful at work and you're bringing it home at night and it's disrupting your sleep and it's compounding on itself, make no mistake that is doing damage to your body. And there are certain supplements out there that can help reduce inflammation, calm your nerves. Just make sure that your body's being nourished in a way that you can at least be taking some positive steps towards a balanced, healthy life. All right, so here we go. Without further ado, my top 5 supplement staples. Number 1, whey protein isolate. Yeah, that's right. Good old-fashioned whey protein isolate. So the reason I say isolate as opposed to concentrate or casein or any of these other kind of variations is that, I'm a man of science, and the studies just show that whey protein isolate takes the cake. It's a complete protein for one, right? So it's a complete profile of branched chain amino acids. So its number one purpose is to build and maintain muscle. And that's it, period. Isolate has the lowest amount of lactose. So even though it is derived from milk, it's only trace elements. So a lot of people who have mild levels of lactose intolerance, they can still get by with isolate without any problems because it's just so little of it left. It raises our glutathione levels, and glutathione is an antioxidant that we can't supplement. It means that it has to be built inside of our body. Our body creates it naturally through our life choices, through our behavior. So if we're healthy, we're eating our vegetables, we're sleeping well, we're getting sound exercise, our natural glutathione levels are going to rise, but you can't supplement it, right? So it's one of those sort of measures of health. How high your glutathione levels are, it probably means that you're treating yourself pretty well. So whey protein isolate shown to raise glutathione levels. And also, this is an interesting one for me, and maybe you don't feel the same way, maybe you do, but it reduces the amount of meat that you have to eat to stay anabolic. And anabolic just means that your body's growing, putting on muscle, right? So I have a hard time sitting there eating, pounds and pounds of meat every day to stay anabolic. It's just, after a while, it can gross you out. So if I can take, a few scoops of protein throughout the day and cut my actual meat intake by 40%, I think that's a good thing overall, right? I do think there's a purpose to eating meat. However, as with anything, too much is a problem, and we want to make sure that we're finding some sort of balance in our pursuits of, physical greatness, right? And lastly, it gets in the bloodstream really quickly. So that means, for example, if you have a workout and your goal is to try to be, building muscle, you can take a protein shake, a few times a day, and it just goes right into your system, right into your bloodstream, right into your muscle. So post-workout recovery shake, for example, you have a scoop of protein, you have 20 grams of simple carbohydrates in there. As soon as you put that thing down, boom, it's in your bloodstream. Your body's channeling it to the muscles to recover from the workout. So that's all super important. All right, here we go. Number 2, Superfood Powder. So maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't. I'm in LA, so we're pretty trendy here. We have our green juices and our green powders. But I gotta say, I really have grown to appreciate and have made a consistent routine out of taking this. I've been taking super green powders for, 10 years now, maybe. So imagine this. This is what super green powder is, right? Imagine this, a vat of just mass quantities of kale, beetroots, spinach, algae, chlorella, spirulina. You have your seaweeds. You have all these vegetables and herbs in this massive vat, and then you dry it out and you break it down into just its powder form. You just mill it down until it's just a green powder. Now, obviously, eating a big salad of fresh leafy greens is a much better choice. However, in addition to that, this is just increasing in your variety of diverse nutrients, right? So you're getting access to seaweeds and algae and all these other super green foods that otherwise going throughout your normal day-to-day, you probably just won't do, right? We're all creatures of habit, and we tend to gravitate towards the same thing. If you were to go grocery shopping today, it's probably going to look just like last week's grocery shopping, right? I mean, we all get the same vegetables, the same proteins, the same eggs, and I'm just as guilty of that. So this is just a good way to help you get a diverse variety of nutrients, and I think that's super important as far as immunity and just making sure that you're giving your body all the little bells and whistles it needs to just run optimally. Obviously, this is loaded with antioxidants, and so it's going to improve your immune system, right? Antioxidants, removing those free radicals. You step outside, and there's smog in the air from the cars that drive by. Those are all free radicals that are damaging your skin, damaging your cells. And so we need to up our antioxidant game, especially in this day and age when we're around pollutants all the time. We need to do everything we can to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and we're being as healthy as possible. So also, guys, last but not least, this is a plant-based vitamin and mineral. So yeah, it's just like as opposed to a pill where you take a multivitamin, let's say, and it says 100% of all your daily vitamins and minerals. And although technically that is true, the difference, of course, is that you're getting it from a synthetic form of the real thing, which studies are starting to show that it's actually not that beneficial. In fact, it might even be doing more harm than good to just take a pill, where you get a powder, a green powder like this, and it's all from plants, right? Imagine that vat we talked about where it's all milled down to this fine powder. Even though it's dried up and it's not in its original form anymore, it's still that plant base of vitamins and minerals that your body can recognize and goes, oh yeah, this is an organic matter. We're an organic matter. We can assimilate this into our body and put it right to use. So this is a much better option, if you ask me, than just like a multivitamin, right? And that's just my humble opinion. Talk to your doctor, see what they say, but definitely do your own research on that as well. So number 3, fish oil. Fish oil is super important. The biggest thing with fish oil is I think animal fats in general are just misunderstood. People have demonized egg yolks. You name, the list goes on. But when you look at the research, I mean, let's not forget that we aren't that far removed from our hunter-gatherer ancestors, right? I mean, there are still hunter-gatherers living in the world today, and we go back 10, 15,000 years. We were all that way, right? And we survived off animal meat and vegetables and plants. So to assume that we can't handle that in this day and age is a little silly. And so we've evolved with animal fats being such a crucial part of our diet and our genetics that in the absence of them, you start to see some health complications. And so what fish oil is essentially, it's oil from a fish, right? It's omega-3 fatty acids that we can supplement in to give our bodies the nutrients it needs to continue to be healthy, improve our immune system. There was a study where a group that took fish oil for 6 months every day had a 23% reduction in eye damage caused by natural exposure to sun and pollutants in the air and just overall stress. I mean, it reduces inflammation, obviously improves your immune function because this is an antioxidant. So, all the benefits that we got from the super green powders, there's a lot of that in this as well. But this one tends to have a little bit more correlation with our heart and our brain and keeping just general inflammation down. Inflammation is a precursor to almost every disease, right? So we want to make sure that we are not inflaming our organs and our blood vessels and our cells, and we're keeping our bodies functioning as properly as we can. So number 4, glutamine. So glutamine is interesting because it's not is commonly known as the other supplements out there, but it's probably one of the few over-the-counter fitness supplements that actually gets results, actually has a legit purpose, but it's very rarely used by people who are going to the gym. So this is the most common amino acid in the muscle tissue. In fact, over 61% of your muscle is glutamine. When you exercise, it depletes glutamine. So when we supplement glutamine, it obviously increases those levels and it replenishes the levels in our muscles quicker, which all play a big role in protein synthesis, which is just basically taking your cells and turning them into bigger, stronger muscle fibers and cells and creating more muscle mass by virtue of adaptation from our training and our diet. Not to mention, glutamine and growth hormone have a link, and some studies are showing that by just supplementing 2 grams of glutamine a day, you can actually see a 400% increase in growth hormone. And growth hormone, of course, is responsible for building muscle, losing fat, keeping our skin and our hair supple, and making us look youthful. Basically, it is the fountain of youth, and a lot of people are searching it out through, pseudo-legal means. It is a form of steroids, and nowadays you can pretty much go to your doctor and start saying, oh, I have symptoms of this and that, and they might prescribe you injections of growth hormone. But as with anything, guys, a little bit of work and you get the real thing instead of a synthetic version of it. So you get your sleep, you eat properly, you hydrate, you keep your stress levels low, you keep your sugar and your alcohol low, and throw in some glutamine. And guess what? You can expect a 4, 5, 6, 700% increase in natural testosterone production. That is the fountain of youth. That's what everybody wants. They want to look more muscular, they want to be leaner, they want to feel better, and they'll search endlessly for the answer outside of themselves, when really all it is just a matter of getting your life in balance, training, eating well, resting, keeping your stress levels low, and a smart supplement like glutamine, which is just an amino acid essentially, will really help. There is an interesting study that said that glutamine if taken like 1.6 grams a day for a 4-week period, actually cured ulcers in test subjects. So it's really important for gut health, known to help leaky gut syndrome. If you guys have ever heard of that, it's just like the permeability of the cellular walls in your small intestines and how quickly nutrients get into your bloodstream or not. It's called leaky gut syndrome. And so glutamine is known to help repair cellular walls and the structural integrity of cellular walls. So interesting stuff. Check it out for yourselves, guys. Do your research and see if this is right for you. Last but not least, number 5, creatine monohydrate. Now, that might be a surprise to some of you. Maybe some of you kind of have a negative impression of creatine. Why would Justin, this fitness guru, if I do say so myself, recommend something that's so controversial? Well, as with anything, the more we understand something, the less scary it becomes. And I got to say, there's been over 200 studies of creatine's efficacy in the past 10 years. And guess what? It can't be denied. This shit just works. It's, in fact, the only supplement over the counter that is clinically proven to increase your size, your strength, and your performance, right? So everything else that your friend has in his gym bag, or maybe that you're the guy that has in his gym bag, every powder, every pill, all these things that are supposed to improve performance, unless they're just loaded with caffeine and uppers for like a 30 to 40 minute like spike in energy. But anything long-term, anything like real, legit, that's sustainable, creatine is the only over-the-counter supplement that is clinically proven to increase size, strength, and athleticism. So I definitely recommend it. And in fact, they're really having a hard time finding reasons why we shouldn't. Let's just get something clear. So creatine is already produced in the body, right? Your body produces, I heard somewhere, like 5 to 10 grams of it a day. That's just what it has to work with. Creatine, and I'm going to try to do this in a way that doesn't sound too out there, so I keep myself straight and you can understand it. But basically, so the creatine's role in the muscle is to replace our energy currency, which is called ATP, and ATP is adenosine triphosphate. And in your muscles at any given time, there is a certain amount of ATP present. Now, if you were to take a sprint down the block as fast as you possibly can, let's just say it was 10 to 15 seconds of just all-out maximum effort, you would diminish your readily available ATP in your muscles. They would be gone. You'd start to feel that burn, and you'd eventually start to slow down, right? The process in which that ATP recovers is what's happening is that ATP, adenosine triphosphate, turns into ADP, adenosine diphosphate, because you've now sprinted and you've used that molecule up. And so what creatine does is it turns that di back into a tri, and it basically restores that energy molecule called ATP. So what that means is, A, you have more ATP present, so maybe instead of a 10-second sprint, now you can go for 20 seconds, and B, you recover much quicker. So instead of it taking 90 seconds to 2 minutes to recover from that sprint, now it's maybe more like a minute. So what does that translate to? More volume, more reps, more sets, more work capacity, more intensity. And what do all those things turn into? Bigger size muscles, stronger muscles, and more endurance, right? Your capacity to work is increasing because you're able to turn that you're able to turn that di back into a tri much faster than without supplementing creatine, right? So I hope that makes sense. Essentially, it just helps your body recover and build more energy molecules much faster than without it, right? But of course, guys, as with anything, you never want to be on something like creatine always nonstop for the rest of your life, right? Our body has a tendency to down-regulate when we do too much of something for too long of a period of time. So as with anything, I always recommend cycling. So you'll do, for example, if you buy a jar of creatine, it might last you 8 weeks. Perfect. So you're on an 8-week cycle. When that jar is empty, maybe you let it chill for a month or so. let your body start, doing its thing without it, adapting without it, and then you can get back on it. But you want to keep your body sensitive. You want to always be up-regulating your system, and that goes for dieting, that goes for training, that goes for supplementation. Anything in life, if we always do it nonstop, constantly, we tend to down-regulate. So we want to up-regulate by cycling and keeping things fresh, essentially, right? So there you go, guys. That is my top 5 supplement recommendations. I hope you got a lot out of this. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, justin@pcodenation.com, and I will talk to you guys later.